Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayn and today I want to talk to you about working in events. So I feel like I spend a lot of my time talking about publishing because that's like the industry where my career really started and took off. But more recently, I've actually joined the events industry as well, as I am now an events program manager for a publishing house. And it's been incredible. It's been so interesting to see how different industries operate, but at the same time, how many similarities there are between events and publishing specifically. So I thought I would talk to you a little bit more about what I do, because I think there is a lot of confusion when it comes to working in events. I feel like a lot of events managers must get this. Let me know if you do get this, if you're an events manager, but I would get people asking me, oh, so you do like organize weddings? And I'm like, no, not weddings. And they go, okay, then like birthday parties or like, you know, things like that. And you're just like, no, I organize. I actually am a corporate events manager. I think like there's not many people that understand what that means. And to be fair, it's actually quite difficult to explain because there are so many different types of corporate events managers, and it does depend on the company that you work for and what your specific role is. But I do business to business events, and that is also why I can't really share a huge amount of what the events day to day are, because it's like between us and our clients rather than being something that I can share publicly. So I don't really do any fancy events or galas. I just like work with our clients and I just help connect them with our brilliant authors at Penguin Random House, which is such a privilege and is really so much fun. But I thought I would talk a little bit more about how I got into it and what happened in my journey, because obviously, as I mentioned, I started my career in publishing and I was actually working a lot around sales and operations and logistics, which was really good and gave me like a really good grounding and understanding of the world of work in general and just publishing. I knew that I wanted to do something that had a bit more people involved. My roles back then were very much desk-based, so I would just literally spend my days maybe on the phone but with customers, but like never really like in meetings or never really trying to create something or come up with like new and interesting ideas. And I knew that's what I wanted to do basically. So what I eventually did was looked into what my passions were, and I thought, you know what, at the beginning of my career I thought I was never going to get into publishing because it was so difficult, and especially where I come from, publishing is a very closed industry and very elitist, which you could say the same for the UK, but anyway, that's probably a topic for another video. And so I thought, well, I made it though. I've managed to get into publishing, so why not try to pursue my passion for events, which was the other thing that I really wanted to do. And I'm gonna have to admit that at the beginning, and especially when I was younger, I did think, oh, I would love to become a wedding planner. And then I did an evening diploma with the Event Academy where I trained to become an events manager. And in there, they would just talk about all the different kinds of events. And honestly, there's so many. I'm probably not going to list them all. Definitely not going to list them all. But there's like obviously weddings, there's festivals, there's corporate events, there's like experiential marketing, there's just like sometimes what you think you love is just the romanticized version of like what the role is like. So for example, I had this like image of me being a wedding planner, the same way as J-Lo, like in, I don't remember now the name in English of the movie, but like, you know, that movie. So that movie, I wanted to be J-Lo. And I think a lot of people do. And I just realized, gosh, no, I could never. It just sounds so stressful. When the woman who was giving us the talk and the lecture around events, around weddings, came to the Event Academy to talk to us, I was horrified. I was just like, oh my God, I can't. I would just lose my mind. There's too much, I think there's too many feelings attached to it. And I'm just like not a very like, you know, yeah, I love stories and I love that kind of stuff, and there's always like a certain amount of feelings involved when you deal with authors, because obviously the books is basically their books that are their babies and they spend so much time working on them, and so there's an element of that. But with weddings, like you could literally ruin someone's day. Or you could obviously also make someone's day, but I just didn't want to take that pressure. And also there was an element that I think a lot of people love, and I am just kind of like, nah, not really my thing, which is the creative bit. So you know, like the colors and flowers and things. And obviously you could be an event planner and have like a stylist and a florist and all that, but you still need to have kind of like an idea and a concept. And I'm just like not that kind of person. I'm much more strategic. I'm much more interested in how do I engage people, you know, and how do I really work with our clients to make sure that we bring out the best possible outcome for them and what they're trying to achieve, rather than focusing on the creative and like aesthetic of an event. So once I understood that, I kind of like eliminated weddings. Then there was festivals, which again, a lot of people love to do. And I was just like, I hate crowds. So I was just like, no, festivals is not for me. I don't think I would ever like it. So that was like out. And then there was experiential marketing, which is still something that I would love to do at some point. But ultimately I knew that corporate was what I wanted to do. And a lot of people to this day seem to think that it's boring. So when I say that I'm a corporate event manager, it just doesn't strike as cool as saying, oh, I'm a creative producer, or yeah, I'm a wedding planner. But genuinely, guys, is so cool. And I know so many other corporate events managers that are traveling the world and are organizing such amazing events in really great venues, and they have to like really think about how to like engage. And I'm not saying that everyone else doesn't, but what I'm saying is there is so much more to, oh, you're like planning a boring conference, oh yeah, you're that kind of events manager, the one that just like plans the conference in the conference center with the shit food and stuff like that. And that's not what corporate events managers do, not necessarily, obviously also that, but I really fell in love with it. And I knew that I wanted to kind of like stick around in books and make events part of my journey, but I didn't want to necessarily go away from publishing. I'm not really ready. I think I really love the industry, and there's so much talent and so many opportunities. And interestingly enough, events in publishing are not a thing yet. And when I say that, I mean the events that I do are not consumer facing, they're not externally facing, they're very strategic, they're programs. So we have to like think about how and what the customers want to achieve, what they're trying to achieve. Is it engaging their employees? Is it like helping their clients, learn something? And I think all that for me is just like what really interests me, and at the moment is not necessarily something that is like massively big in publishing. So I felt like I really had an opportunity to make it my own. I was so lucky. I experimented a lot in my first role when I basically started doing corporate events, which was kind of like a hybrid role. So it was 50-50 sales and events. And I was just like given kind of free range to just like start and experiment and do things. And then now in this role, I'm just like having the best time. It's brilliant. So I'm just like trying to make the most of it, because you never know when things are going to change and we're going to have to like kind of like shift the business. And already it has happened. I think since COVID has hit, the industry, the events industry specifically, has had just like so much to deal with. And I feel like it's been super inspirational for me to see how all the events managers have come together. The word of the year is basically pivot. And if you say pivot, everyone goes like, because we all had to think about how to change our events and like how to transform them so that they could adapt to a virtual experience. Because that's the thing, guys. Events managers don't just like, create a list and make something happen. There is so much thinking behind a successful event, and there is so much planning and strategizing and liaising with different people. And I think anyone that comes to me and tells me, oh yeah, I could do your job because I've been planning my best friends or like my family's birthday parties since forever and I'm so good. I'm like, well, that's not what I do. That's definitely not what I do. And it's like not what many events and content producers like create. It's like an experience, a live experience. And to move that into the virtual world, that was just like, there was so much thinking that needed to happen, and so much exploring and understanding and testing. So much testing. But yes, so it has been quite a year, but I haven't really regretted anything at all. It's been such an incredible journey for me. And it's still like really funny when people just go like, oh, so you know, what kind of events you do? I think maybe I'm not very good at explaining, I don't know. Or maybe people just don't get it because it's not their job. But I like it, I love it, and I have so much fun with it. It's also really stressful. Before the pandemic hit, events was one of the like top most stressful jobs in the world, which to me was mind-blowing. But then I started working events and I was like, oh my God, holy shit. Yes, it's super stressful. There's just like so many things that you have to think about all the time. And the funny thing is also that I feel like many people don't realize is you see when like, you know, you see the work of an events manager when they're not around. So like when something goes sideways and the events manager isn't there. So one time I was like on holiday and there was an event that obviously had to happen anyway, and I'm the only corporate events manager in my company. So obviously there were people that were doing events before me, so you know, they were like just like different kind of events, like a bit smaller. They had a large event, they did it, and then when they reported back to me, they were like, oh, you know, like there were all these things that happened, and I was like, oh my God, I could have avoided that by doing this, and I could have done that. And obviously, you know, I wasn't there, so it was like obviously very difficult for me to have helped. And the team did like a wonderful job anyway, but it's all those details, you know, all those details. And I will always remember in my first events job, it was so funny because one time I didn't go to one of the events that was, I think it was like just like outside of London, so I didn't attend that one, but I had planned it, and I was like on the phone all day with all like, you know, the catering people and the venue and everyone. And when my manager came back from the trip, he was like, I was like, how did it go? And did everything go right? And he was like, yeah, it was fine, but it was so stressful because you weren't there to take care of everything, and I just had to think about so many things, and I never realized how much stuff you have to think about, but you always look so calm and so put together, and you just like, I can never tell that you're like thinking about a million things because everything needs to go well. So yeah, and that was really nice for me because I was just like, oh, see, now you know why you hired me, basically. No, I'm kidding. But yes, it's an incredible job, and I feel so privileged and so excited to be able to do that. It's been such a joy. And sometimes, you know, even filming this video, I feel like I'm reminding myself of all the amazing opportunities and amazing times where the stress was all worth it, you know? After the event, all you care about is just like looking back and thinking about this amazing experience that you've put together, or that you have helped someone put together, and seeing, you know, like your speakers happy and the delegates happy and your clients happy and everyone's happy. It's just so good. It's just so good. It's the excitement. So yes, so that's kind of like a little bit of me talking about events, and then talking about my own experience with events. I do have to say I miss live experiences. I am really looking forward to going back to working just like on physical experiences. I love it. It's so much fun, and it's so lovely to meet people, and I love seeing the delegates, especially now that I'm working with authors, when they just go like, oh my God, that author is there, and it's just so precious. It's such an awesome moment, and I really miss it. So I'm very much looking forward to going back to doing face-to-face events at some point, although I do have to say that virtual events have been quite interesting, and I think they have had a really good, really good impact in terms of like breaking down barriers for people that couldn't travel maybe to see a face-to-face event, or, you know, in terms of accessibility and in terms of reaching more people, the engagement and the numbers have really grown. So I think there has been like lots of positive sides to it, but personally I miss having, you know, just like that kind of physical experience. So yes, I hope that this has been somehow interesting. It is a bit random, and it's just like me talking about an industry that I have joined very recently, but I have been welcomed by everyone with open arms, and has been honestly such a fantastic journey for me to get into this industry where so many people are so committed, and events professionals have stamina and grit and enthusiasm, and it's just so energizing to be around them. So yes, if you are thinking of getting into events, get in touch. I'd love to chat with you. I will leave a link down below with a blog post that I wrote, which has some information that you should check out, some communities that you should check out if you are interested in knowing a little bit more about the events industry. And yeah, just like some advice on also some of the people that I follow that I find particularly inspirational, because they're genuinely just like so amazing and so interesting to see like all the different kinds of events. So yes, I hope that this was interesting. Please like this video and give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this, and leave any questions and comments down below because I'd love to connect with you.